was a man among men, travel four corners of the world. I went home and I turned on my television. Look in Washington town, I saw 6 white horses carrying Petty Kennedy. To the very man who won't be a man. Just like President Kennedy was.
We do not know if any of the people arrested so far are actually the person who pulled the trigger.
He was a man amongst men in the travel four corners of the world. What it said, we got to use. President Kennedy was dead. Church here don't come from you, flying airplane and jets over my head. Never be a man, just like President Kennedy was.
You shoot the president? I didn't shoot anybody, no.
I heard that on church bell ring.
Full name is Lee Harvey Oswald, O-S-W-A-L-D.
Did you kill the president?
No, I've not been charged with that. In fact, nobody has said that to me yet.
You have been.
Nobody said what?
Sir?
You have been.
Nobody said what? Okay, man, here you go. Okay.
What did you do in Rochester?
Now you know the rooster told her here. Your heads ought to go lay. Said, no, President Kennedy dead. I ain't got nowhere to stay. There'll be a man like President Kennedy was.
Oswald expired at 1:07 p.m. He died.
He was a man amongst men. Travel four corners of the world.
We have not been able to find anyone who saw and recognized Ruby at the time of this transfer.
My heart struck solid. Tears come falling down. When the kid, President Kennedy, let him down, they buried him ground. He never would be a man like President Kennedy was. He was a man amongst men. Four corners, travel of the world. Sad what to say about President Kennedy. Never be another.
Fellow Democrats, with great pride, with great joy, I offer you for the presidency of the United States that son of the Texas hills, that tested and effective servant of the people, a real working leader in a time crying for full-time American leadership, Lyndon B. Johnson of Texas.
Lyndon Baines Johnson was a difficult Democrat, often at odds with his party. He was boisterous, cantankerous, and unpredictable. In 1956, he went so far as to endorse Eisenhower for president. But on November 22, 1963, he was indisputably at the head of his party and his country, the accidental president of the United States.
For a report on the man who is our new president, here is Eric Severin.
Walter, on this day of misfortune, perhaps some measure of comfort can be taken from one circumstance. This time, the successor to an assassinated president is a man of first-rank ability. He is 55 years old. He's in the prime of life for the responsibilities of the presidency, at a point where a man's experience and his energies meet at a high mutual level. Johnson was born in Texas near the hamlet called Johnson City, where the family flag flies over the LBJ Ranch. He's a lawyer by education, a politician by instinct, and by great success. His fierce fight against Mr. Kennedy for the Democratic nomination in 1960 seems only yesterday. Mr. Kennedy chose Johnson to be his running mate, partly because he had to have strength in the southern states. Johnson was the one man who could conciliate the southern conservatives, and this he did. In fact, there were many later on who said that Mr. Kennedy owed his election to Mr. Johnson. When the President Kennedy, died today, both he and the Vice President were engaged behind the scenes in trying to settle the feud within the Texas Democratic Party. And now all that, which does seem so petty in retrospect, all that doesn't matter very much. Mr. Johnson is the president. Texas is his personal political base in its totality.
As president, Johnson had much on his immediate agenda, including the investigation into the death of John F. Kennedy, but also the security of the country and his very credibility.
Problems look different when you're a president. You may remember that President Kennedy said after he took office at his first news conference that although he'd campaigned on facing up to the grim realities of the world today, he was astonished when he actually sat in the president's chair and faced those grim realities himself. Now, Defense Secretary McNamara and McGeorge Bundy are briefing him in such terms as mega deaths, White House and Pentagon shorthand for the millions of deaths which are now in the hands of President Lyndon Johnson in case there should be a thermonuclear exchange. The words death of Earth are being exchanged once again in a briefing of the president. That dose in a thermonuclear exchange which might lethally contaminate the atmosphere and kill all persons on Earth. Now the responsibility of a new man, President Lyndon Johnson.
The problems were many and threatening. The Soviets were on nuclear alert, wondering if they would be blamed for the Kennedy assassination. The state and federal agencies were fighting over investigative tactics and turf. And the public speculation regarding the killing of the president was out of control.
I don't know what goes through some people's minds. I really don't. We don't need any enemies from abroad. We have them right here. And I don't think he should have gone down there, because we had a sample of Stevenson when they spit on him and everything. And our president took too many unnecessary chances.
We are told that the gunshot wound, the fatal wound inflicted on the President of the United States, entered at the base of the throat and came out at the base of the neck on the back side.
Personally, I think that some of those very ruthless oil millionaires down in Texas probably paid this man to, or these men, to pull this job. I don't think it was done by the person who actually wanted it done. It was, I think it was a paid job.
There was almost an immediate concern among people that I know that this murder had been brought about by the right wing. And I know that in some communities where they had John Birch societies, men went out with axes and chopped down the John Birch Society advertisements immediately.
In a time of